Hi everyone, Drea here to stitch along with you our Watch and Stitch Tooth Fairy pillow. Now I know you're excited about the versatility and the utter cuteness of this design, so I'll show you one I already have finished. This is the one we'll be stitching today, the cat design, so it's number 2 in your set, but they're all constructed the exact same way. So all you'll need to get started are the things I have here, exactly from your materials list. I have my tutorial standing by to make sure I have my steps to follow along. I went ahead and hooped a piece of no-show mesh, just any standard variety of cutaway or no-show mesh, and that is in my hoop. That's all I need to get started. I have a thread selected, and then we're going to get going. So let's load the hoop into the machine very carefully. Your first machine step, as indicated in the tutorial, will be a placement for your batting. This pillow does have a piece of batting in it to keep it nice and soft. So the color doesn't technically matter here, but I've gone ahead and threaded in a color that will match my base fabric just to save myself a step later. So let's get started running machine step number 1. Again, this is Tooth Fairy Pillow and we're on design number 2, just in case you want to follow along exactly. Once you have your squaring stitch, your placement for your batting, you'll then take a piece of batting and cover that on all sides. Make sure everything is nice and flat. This piece is larger than I need, but that is okay. And then you'll run your step 2, which is a tacking stitch. So once everything is tacked, you'll trim along your tacking stitch. Make sure you get right up to those stitches with your scissors. So once everything is trimmed, then you'll place your base fabric covering over the top. This piece is larger than I need. That is okay. And you'll return to the hoop. Once your hoop is returned to the machine, make sure everything is smooth, and then you'll run the next step, which is the tacking stitch to secure your fabric. You'll notice that your tacking stitch always runs twice to make sure everything is nice and secure. If you have excess fabric like I've done here, you can leave that until we're toward the last steps. This will allow for your fabric to stay nice and smooth while stitching. So again, once your tacking stitch is completed, you do not need to trim yet. Go ahead and leave any excess fabric that you have. And now you'll follow your numbered machine steps to complete the decorative embroidery. So we have a few color changes and some beautiful embroidered additions here. Remember, the specifics for these steps are at the end of the tutorial. You'll see those numbered machine steps that coordinate with each design. Now we'll go ahead and run step 6, which is a placement stitch for your applique in this design. It doesn't matter what color you use for this step, so we've picked one that you can see. Go ahead and run that step now. For this design, our applique is in the shape of a cat, so you can see the placement stitch has gone around once to indicate where to place your fabric. Take your applique fabric, and if it's printed, make sure it's print up so you can see the print. Here we have a tonal print, just to add a little variety, but not too much distraction. Place that over the top of your placement stitch, making sure to cover the whole thing, and then run the next step, which is a tacking stitch to secure the fabric. Once your applique is secured, you'll want to take your scissors and trim tightly up to the tacking stitches on all sides of the shape. It's important to trim as closely as you can so that your finished design doesn't have any overhang in those stitches. Once trimmed, your design should look something like this. Then you can return your hoop to the machine. Go ahead and run your satin stitch or any decorative embroidery that your design has. Remember, the machine steps for your individual designs. We'll tell you exactly what's next. Once your decorative embroidery is complete, there are 2 machine steps remaining. The next to last one, which we'll run now, is a marking stitch to indicate where to place your pocket. Go ahead and run the marking stitch in a color that you can see, and then we'll add our pocket. Once your marking stitch is complete, go ahead and remove the hoop and lay it on a flat surface. Then you'll take your fabric for the pocket and fold it in half. Make sure that the fold is facing up, and you'll place it along the marking stitches as so. You can finger press or give it a quick blast with your iron if needed. Just align it again, the top of the fold, with your marking stitches. Make sure everything is nice and secure. You can tape if needed. And then you'll take your back fabric that you're using on the back of your design. Back fabric. Once you have your back fabric, you'll take it face down so the print will go down, covering the entire thing. Make sure everything is nice and smooth. Be very careful not to move your pocket during this portion. Double check. Everything's flat. Again, tape if you feel more comfortable. Return this to the machine. And your last step will be a tacking stitch. I'm going to switch over to a color that's close to my fabric, just in case. Your tacking stitch will tack on 3 sides and leave a small opening in that 4th so that you can stuff the pillow. So you'll see that tacking stitch again. It's your final machine step. We're going to go ahead and run that now. Just be sure that nothing moves while you're stitching. Watch out for those pocket pieces. You should be good. All right. We have now done the embroidery portion and constructed our pillow. Let's finish her up. So once the final machine step is complete, you'll take your hoop out and then you're ready to remove your design. So we'll go ahead and take it out of the hoop, put the hoop to the side. Then we have a little trimming to do. So remember, I had a ton of excess fabric here. So you can take your scissors and remove any of the excess materials. I like to leave a little fabric, but not too much. So maybe 1/8 of an inch, a little more if you want. Now we're trimming away. I'm going to turn as I trim so I can hold on to it. We're trimming away the excess on these outer portions. The area here with the opening, I like to leave myself a little more fabric so that it's easier to turn it in when I'm finishing it. I'll show you what I mean by that in a moment. So I'm leaving a little excess here and then going back in and trimming around the rest of the shape. You probably won't have as much to trim. I was just using some big pieces that I already had. Now, once we've trimmed this area, remember I have a little more than I need here. I'm going to trim my corners at an angle. That way they're easier to turn. This one I'll just trim the top. And then I'll trim this corner. Now the next thing you'll do, if you've left too much here or it feels a little too bulky, you can trim out a little excess as needed. But again, you don't want to get too close to these seams because you could cause a hole when you're turning. So don't get too close, but use your judgment. Next, we'll go ahead and turn right side out. So going in through the opening that was left, we'll turn our project. You can use a good turning tool here, or you can just do a little poking. You'll see everything looks super cute when we're done. So I have my pocket, I have my little pillow. Just continue. Don't pull too hard during this stage. Give it time. Be patient. You'll poke out your corners. Get them nice and straight. And now you have your pillow. So your super cute pillow, again, you have your pocket here. Through this opening, now you can see why I've left a little excess fabric. That way, when I go to stuff, we're not going to stuff on camera, but what I'll do is I'll put all my stuffing in as much as you want. Once you've stuffed it completely, if you've left excess fabric here, you have a much cleaner seam to work with. to stitch it up. So you would just whip stitch closed here, or you can use adhesive, whatever you prefer. But again, if you leave that excess fabric, you have a much cleaner line than if you had trimmed closer. And then any tacking stitch that may show here, once you've sewn it together, you can remove those once everything's attached. So let me show you mine that's completely stuffed. You can see just how cute. Remember, when you do stuff, it does puff out and draw up a bit, but same exact thing that we've done here. Pocket's a different color, but you can see where we have our sides and our pocket, and then we just closed up our edge here with a hand needle and thread, and you're ready. Now you can tuck in your treasures for the Tooth Fairy, and these designs, let me show you the rest. How cute. You have a whole set of these absolutely precious Tooth Fairy pillows, just like the one that we made today. I hope you will have fun with these designs, and we can't wait to see what you create. Thank you so much for joining us today as we stitched out our Tooth Fairy pillow.